Anyhow, they were in here.
And I don't want to take up your,
No, what do you
too
want?
much time. I would love to just clip this right onto here if that's all right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Now, where will we start?
I guess that's up to you. But if I'm asking, tell me about your parents and your grandparents. I just don't know a whole lot.
Yeah.
I know like nothing about my dad's side. I know a little about his adoptive parents.
Okay.
And
The Trotmans.
yeah, but I just don't know as much as I'd like to.
Well, my dad stuck with us through a lot of hard years, and I appreciate him. But I didn't at the time. Do you understand?
I think so.
Anyhow, I know it was hard on him when Mother professed, which, I mean, she had a conviction and she could not go back on it. But he loved to dance and all that. And she couldn't feel right about all that. Anyhow, it made life harder probably for Daddy and Mama too. But I have a box here where he had to have a goiter operation. And he always said that he wasn't the same after that. Oh, yeah. But anyhow, he would write Mother cards all the time because he had to go back to Rochester in Minnesota to have it done. That's where they did it. So he had this trip, and that little box, little recipe box, tells about his trip. And it's just sweet. You could feel his love to Mom through those cards. And of course, she had to stay home with all the kids. But like I say, he had a job with. I believe he was on the train in Colorado. And then I think he was a fireman on a train where you stoke the wood into the box. Mm-hmm. And then he moved to California, and Mother stayed in Colorado because Grandma, her mother, didn't want her to leave. She said, wait until Neva is 1 year old, because Mother and Daddy had lost their first baby when he was 10 months old. And Grandma was afraid for Mother to bring Neva out to California before she was a year old. So anyhow, that's how that happened. So Dad came ahead and he got a job with Standard Oil Company. And he worked up in Bakersfield, and out in the fields, there was all kinds of different farms that he would go to. And he met the Bones at that time, which were a professing family. And he could go to their farm and sell them gasoline or whatever they needed for their tractors. And then he got a house, and it wasn't far from, it was in walking distance from where the Sunday morning meeting was, but Mother hadn't heard the truth yet. But then that would have been about 1912. Then in 1913, the gospel came to Grandma Gredler in Colorado. She was living in Antlers, and the sister workers came to the home and asked if she had a room she could rent. They could rent. And so Grandma took them in. They said they had the school that they were going to have gospel meetings in. And that wasn't far from where Grandma lived. So Grandma took them in, though she had several children. We don't know how it all worked, but she had made bread, and the sister workers said later, they told her that was the first that had in a couple of days to eat. And then they had her home to sleep in. And Grandma had gone through, of course, Grandpa had died, and her little daughter, at age 13, had died. She had gone out and was jumping rope, and she dropped dead. So she asked the Catholic priest to have her funeral, and they would not come because they knew she was just a poor widow now. She said at that time, there's something else. So she was looking for truth, and when the gospel came, she responded to it at those meetings. And then she wrote to Mother and said Mother had gone, and Neva had ridden the train out to California, and she said, Marie, this is the way, and she underlined the way. And so that's when Mother got to hear the gospel in Bakersfield, California. And she went to, the ladies there had given her money to get the train to go to convention. And it was at convention that she professed. And anyhow, then when they lived there several years, had more children, and then when the twins were born prematurely, the doctor said, you've got to get Mother out of Bakersfield. This heat is too much for her. And that's when Dad found a house in Santa Ana, California, and so they moved there. Of course, that meant he didn't have his job with Standard Oil. So he bought this ranch, 10-acre ranch, and it was right after he bought the ranch that what do you call it? The economy of the
depression. The
depression hit, and so here he was.
Was this like 1919 or 1920?
Well, it would have been 20 something, because then they moved about from Bakersfield after Billy was born. And then Betty was born in Santa Ana.
And this is Billy?
Bill is my brother.
Okay.
Betty was born in 1925 in Santa Ana. And then in 27 I was born. And then in 30 Patty was born. And Neva was our big sister that helped raise us. she was, and she was going to college in Santa Ana when the Depression hit. She was learning to be a seamstress, and so she had to quit school because we couldn't afford to send her to college anymore. And she got a job. One of the friends was working for these wealthy people, and she knew that they needed help with their new little boy. So Neva was hired to help raise this little boy. And so they had access. This lady would give them her old clothes, and Neva knew, she had learned at college in her seamstress work, that just how to, we were always dressed nice as children because Neva knew how to make us coats and everything that was necessary. She was a wonderful help to Mother. And then we went to Sunday morning meeting in Santa Ana. And when I was born, the children in the home had whooping cough, Betty and Bill. And so as a baby, I got whooping cough, and they didn't expect a baby to live through this whooping cough. But anyhow, I did. And that's probably why I was always so stubborn. Anyhow, we went to school at Balsa, B-O-L-S-A, Balsa, California, for the first 4 years. And then we went to Garden Grove. We were bused to Garden Grove to different schools. One was just the 5th grade, and then the other one was 6 through 8, I think. And then we had high school there, and we graduated from there. And in 1945, so I went to school, high school, all the years of World War II. And it was a different life when this war came on. But Dad was doing good at raising his vegetables, and he was selling them from he had a truck that he'd go down to the beaches. He'd have to get a license for each town, like Sunset and Seal Beach and all those little towns at the beach. So he prospered because of the war, and able to pay off the ranch and raise his kids. So we always had food. We were well taken care of. And I'll always thank Daddy for hanging in there when it was tough. But Mama kept the house, and she fed our souls with getting us to the Sunday morning meetings and reading to us from the Bible, having us learn verses. I'm so thankful for her faithfulness to God. But that's the way we grew up.
So, just thinking, let's see. I was just thinking about like the war rationings.
Yeah.
He had, your father wasn't too affected by giving up too much of his gardening to the war effort, or he was able to...
That was the war effort, was raising food.
Yeah.
That was a good place to be in.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that farm, where is it? It's like north...
It's in It's, well, the little area was, there was a school and there was a store. That's all. And we lived, it was probably a couple of miles where Dad bought his 10 acres. And it was Balsa, Bolsa, Balsa, California. But I think now it's known as Westminster. And that's where all the Vietnamese have moved into Westminster.
It's just crazy that it's hard, it's impossible for me to fathom what it was like back then, just because my experience in California, obviously, it's
Yeah.
just this highly developed,
Yeah.
like what it is now.
Well, across the street, those folks had an orange grove, and in the north side there was an orange grove. We grew up with that wonderful smell of the orange blossoms. It was, Patty and I, Mother would always tell me to go play with Patty, and Betty would stay in the house and help. So I didn't learn much about cooking. And it was really hard on me when I got married and didn't know how to cook. But you learn little by little.
So after high school is about when the war was over. And I guess how long was it until you met Grandpa, or what happened in those years after high school?
Well, Chuck and I knew each other from the time we were about 8 years old, because we went to this. His folks would come up from San Diego and visit the Stearns. There were 3 Stearns boys, and he would spend the night. They were like a brother to him. So and of course we knew the Stearns from the time we were pretty little. They lived in Anaheim. They'd ride their bikes over to nearly every Sunday afternoon to read the funny papers. Anyhow, we went to meeting at their home for a union meeting. And that's where I met Chuck, and I guess we were about 8 and 9 years old. And then as soon as I graduated, I went to work. And I had different jobs, but mostly it was at Cress's. During the war, I did work at the Santa Ana Army Air Base until they were closing. And then they were closing in about 1946. And I just worked in the finance department there, getting the boys their last paycheck and getting them out of the service. That was interesting, but it didn't last very long. And then in 49, Chuck and I were married, and I moved to the desert. And didn't have any way it was 12 miles south of Indio, and I had no vehicle to get a job, go work. I just had to learn to like the desert. We'd have windstorms, and it was just like somebody standing outside with a shovel full of dirt. It would come through the house. It was awful. And we didn't have air conditioning. We had one water cooler that was in the living room. Anyhow, we survived that until 4 years later, the man that financed us we were growing vegetables. He had this bulk gasoline station, and he he wanted his brother to take over. Well, but his brother needed help, so he said he could give Chuck a job there, and he had a house that we could rent. So if we wanted it, we could get out of the vegetable business and get into the gasoline business. And that's what we did. And we had 8 nice years in Beaumont, California, where Chuck delivered gasoline to Palm Springs and Joshua Tree. And what are the names of the others up that way? I've forgotten the names of the other towns. Joshua Tree.
29 Palms.
29 Palms, all those towns. Carol can remember that one.
Yeah. And so Carol was born probably right when you moved to Beaumont?
When we moved to Indio, we were living in Indio. We were living 12 miles south of Indio, and Carol was born in the hospital in Indio. And then it was after that we moved to Beaumont.
And then just a couple of years apart,
Mm-hmm.
number 2, 3,
Yeah, Susan was born in San Gorgonio Memorial Hospital. That's between Beaumont and Banning. Mm-hmm. And then you know that story.
Could you tell it real fast? Just too amazing. Or too typical, maybe.
Well, anyhow, I went to the hospital in the daytime, and the nurse was all alone there because the doctor had been called out on a heart attack, and he had to go, so she put me in a room, and she sat Chuck down and gave him the little button to call her if I needed help. And he was to count how many minutes between contractions. And anyhow, all of a sudden he was gone. I don't know, he didn't tell me he was going, and then he set the button down where I couldn't reach it, and then all of a sudden one of those contractions was exceptionally hard, and I knew the baby was there. And I started hollering because I didn't have any way to get a hold of the nurse. And she came running, and so she said, well, I'll have to get the gardener to come and help move your bed into where the delivery room is. And she said, it's okay, he's a father. So she said, just open your mouth and pant like a dog. So I was trying to do my part. And she ran out into the parking lot, and there was Chuck talking to the doctor. And she hollered at the doctor and says, you get in here right now and don't wash your hands. Anyhow, that little baby was born, and I remember telling Betty that she was just black when she was born. I suppose she wasn't getting oxygen. I don't know what happened. So I was really worried about her, but then they brought her in to me, and they said, she's fine. So all turned out well. And then we built a new house in Beaumont on California Avenue. It was close to the cemetery. We had lots of company there. We had the Sunday morning meeting put in our home. And in fact, it was put in our home when we were at 714 Beaumont Avenue. We had the meeting there because the folks were older and they were moving back to Oregon, where they were from. And anyhow, we had wonderful days there. Then 5 years after Susan was born, we had our little boy, Brian, was born. And then Chuck said he did not want Brian to not have a brother. He thought he needed a brother because he'd never had one. So anyhow, then we got little Jean Ann. And then his dad got so bad in San Diego. He had a brain tumor, and he was very bad off, and his mom wanted Chuck to come to San Diego. So we went. He says, "What am I going to do for a living?" And so they had a kind of a free-for-all. People could pay if they wanted to for their water because they liked their water. And so anyhow, then he decided to start bottling it. And we started out with no sense at all, no money, no sense. And all that we had to learn. But I would answer the phone, and Chuck got it going. It was a big deal. We had to buy. I remember going down to Los Angeles looking for a bottle washer. And I thought that Cherry Burrell really looked nice, but we didn't get that one. We got something else. An old Franklin or something. Anyhow. And then we had Jose, a little Mexican boy that stuck with us. When things didn't work, he would work hours and hours to making things work. And our first, we put an ad in to hire a man to deliver it. And he came, and he said, I think my sister goes to meeting at your house up the hill. And it was Bill Smith, and he was a great little guy to have. And then we went from that and just kept building on the very small beginning. And anyhow, then Chuck died. And everything was different. But Brian was able to take hold and make it work through some hard years in the 80s. But anyhow, we've sold it now. And I still miss it and all the people, all the friends we had. But that's it.
Yeah. What, and obviously, through all of those years, there's just so many ups and downs, and you just feel like you're along for a ride that you have no idea where it's going.
Yeah, that is pretty accurate.
What was the biggest comfort through that? Was it?
Well, we always had our special friends that I think the kids could tell you, we had everything that you need in life, really. We did okay. Maybe we didn't have as much as other people, but we did okay. Susie tells about her shoes. Susie and her shoes. She'd buy the cheapest ones and wear them out the fastest.
When I'm just trying to think of questions, I guess. That's just a lot of great information, and I really appreciate you sitting down. We've been at this about 30 minutes already.
Really?
Yeah. Would you like stop, get a drink or anything, or?
Yeah, might be a good idea.
Okay.
Okay, think a little bit.
Yeah.
How do you shut it off?
Oh, here, I'll just pull it off. I think I pretty much just have this one that's explained.
What about it? You got that one.
Actually, can you describe who's in it real quick?
What? I can't understand everything you say, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, can you, I'll just start with this one, maybe.
So, do you want me to say who they are?
Yeah, and if anything comes to mind that sticks out to you about the photo or about the people in it.
This is a picture. Are you ready?
Yep.
This is a picture of Grandpa and Grandma and their first little child. Grandpa's the one that was born in Austria, Joseph Gredler. And Grandma was born in Tennessee. She's Elizabeth. And our mama is Marie Therese. And it was her first birthday. 1 year old. That's it.
Nice.
So what year was this taken, does it say? Well, it says she was born in 89, so this would have been in 90. This would have been in 1890, huh?
Wow.
Let's see. May 14th, 1890 is when she was born, so this would have been, 89. So this would have been May 14th, 1890. 90. Yeah.
Wow. That's a great photo.
It is, isn't that cute? I wish I had that up on the wall to look at more.
Yeah.
And this was just some friends of theirs, I think. It said, Grandpa Joseph Gredler, born in Austria. Zollenzeller is where he was born. Zollenzeller, Austria. And Grandma Elizabeth, her name, she was a Krell, Krell. She was born in Ducktown, Tennessee.
Ducktown, Tennessee.
That's them. I found it on the map.
Huh. It's still there, though? Ducktown, Tennessee?
Yes, it is. It's a place where they were. It shows them all out in the water. What was the deal? It was kind of a vacation place.
Huh.
And so is Austria. Austria was. It's a resort now.
And so who is this?
Oh, these are both Grandpa Raymond Roderick,
Okay.
my dad. That's when he was a younger man, I never knew him looking like that.
It's a handsome family.
Now they say that Mark looks a lot like Dad did. Mark Kettler. You know Mark?
Yeah, oh yeah. Huh.
He's got Parkinson's now, and he just is getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Poor bad. That's too bad. Okay, is that all
Yep.
in here that you want?
Yep.
I wish I could find that little picture of where we were all standing out there. Let me tell you about this one just a minute.
Yeah.
Now, you don't really want to write this down, but Grandma Gredler had brothers and sisters, and one of them was called Jake, and Jake became the anyhow, he was kind of a deputy or something in that town of Black Hawk, Colorado, where Mother was born. Jake Correll, and he married Sophia, and they had 2 children. And the boy's name was Francis, and the little girl was Louise. And recently, Jeannie brought me a book that Louise's daughter wrote. And it was so cute to read because her mother, Sophia, that's in the picture, Sophia, had lived with her. And when Jake died, because about 1918 they had that flu, and Jake, so she took these 3 children that they had and moved back to Syracuse, New York. And she knew, here's Sophia, their mother.
Oh, wow.
She knew that there was no future there in Black Hawk for her and her children. And so Sophia moved back to Syracuse, New York, and the kids grew up there. And I wish I knew more about her. She must have been quite a woman. But this is when they were in the Catholic Church. This is Grandma and her big sister when they had their, what do they call it? Anyhow, whatever they have.
Oh, well, yeah. That's a kind of a funny photo.
That's Elizabeth, and here's Jake. Here's a nice picture of Jake. I always thought a lot of Jake. He was the marshal of Black Hawk, Colorado in 1898. And he died of influenza in 1920.
Wow.
And here's Jake again.
Huh.
We always thought of Uncle Jake, because that's what our mom called him, Uncle Jake. Frances, Veronica. Oh, this is Aunt Froney. Well, that was her sister, Froney. Here it tells. That's Aunt Froney. And this is Grandma. This is Grandma and Grandpa Krell, Krell. And they were from Austria also. John and Mary. She was a Snyder. It's the.
Wow, so.
Now that would be Grandma Elizabeth's mother and dad.
So these are like drawings of them. That's fascinating.
Elizabeth's mom and dad. Raymond and Marie.
That's their wedding in 1908.
And she was born 89. She was 11 years old at the turn of the century. In 1900 to 1908, she'd been 19 at that picture.
Wow. Let's see. And this is Grandma's parents.
That's Grandpa Charles Grant's parents.
La and Elsie. Yeah, I'm good on this page.
We're through.
Yep.
And that's our wedding picture. You probably have that.
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with this.
Well, you don't need it then.
Oh, but you're so handsome.
We were young.
How old were you?
I was 22. He was 21.
So you robbed the cradle. 1949.
1949. December 14th, 1949.
And then these are your kids.
And then I didn't know how to cook. But Uncle Walt, Mother's brother, gave me a cookbook. And I still use that cookbook.
Which one is it?
Good Housekeeping Cookbook.
Oh, okay. More pictures of the kids. Oh, I like this picture on the right.
Isn't that cute?
Oh, it's so good.
We look like we're two old, worn-out parents already.
I mean, isn't that just how it's supposed to happen?
Yeah.
I'm good.
That was 63. It was a long ways to go yet.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I can't. This is 67. This is 70. He could jump to. That's just Jeannie.
Brian, some big ears.
What year? I can't see that. Well, that was 69.
This is 71.
Okay. Did you get it?
Yep.
Oh.
It looks like it's delaminating. Uh-oh.
And then we started getting there when they graduate. Hey, that's going to come all the way off.
Yep. Looks like it needs a roll.
Need some help.
Yep. Is that Jeannie's graduation? Or
I don't think so.
74?
I don't think so. I don't know. I lost track.
Wow, that...
You know that one.
I've never seen that photo before.
Really?
This is in 72. She looks like Alyssa. Or Alyssa looks like her in this photo. Wow.
These are all Brian.
Yeah.
You through?
Yep.
And there's a family picture, 76. Jeannie was 14. And Brian was 16. Susan was 21. Quite a little lady. They were in nursing then, huh?
Okay. I'm surprised I haven't seen some of these photos before.
I think Jeannie didn't like these. Something happened. I think that was her graduation picture. In 1979.
I can see Megan in her mood.
Well, isn't that the year Rachel was born? 79?
Yeah. But I know she was late 70s. She always talks about being a 70s baby. Just like I'm barely an 80s baby. 89, March of 89.
Oh, yeah. Today is Royce's birthday.
Oh, what?
I wonder how old he'd be. He's younger than you, though, isn't he?
Yeah, by quite a bit. He is actually younger than the oldest. So he's probably 26, 25 or 26 now.
Now we start with the grandkids.
Oh.
I don't know if you want all that. Cute little grandkids. And there's my... That's Hillary, isn't it?
On the left? Oh, that's Rachel. And then this is Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Hillary had funny hair
Yeah.
when she was little.
Kinda
So did Susie.
looked a little bit like a mouse. Oh, I'll never forget that picture, Damon.
Go, man, go.
Oh, I love that photo on the left. Wow, that's good. When was that? 82.
Rachel was just 3 there.
Wow, that's an amazing photo.
You think of Blair being 3. She looks big for 3.
Yeah, she does. Hillary's hair.
She was growing up.
Doesn't she look like Blair there? Kind of top left one. She got those cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
There's those. Yeah. I always managed to get pretty great photos of Rachel and Damon.
Is it on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those are so cute.
Yeah.
So cute.
I'm always curious as that shirt that my mom's wearing in that photo. It's like,
She's still wearing it?
nope. I always thought of it as like a Renaissance tunic or something.
What was that about? Oh, they had that little boy that came to Pureful, or what was it? And we were sponsoring him or something. Here's Alex.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that photo. Oh, goodness. Where did they find these hats? I'm just like so confused. We have this one up here
Okay.
at the house, but
And you were born 89.
yep, March of '89.
And then Megan was right after you, huh? April 89?
Actually, or no, she's November 80. Oh,
No,
so she's
she's
20
a-
months then.
She's born in April.
Okay. I thought she was older than me. Yeah, was she 88? If she's 21 months there, then yeah, so she would have been 88. I remember this picture.
And then the twins.
Oh,
They're probably all the rest is the twins.
yeah. Oh, wow.
And, you know, Megan didn't seem to, like it hurt her at all
Yeah.
with her two little... Oh, that was taken in Alaska. I remember I was holding you, and you were heavy, and it was cold, and I felt like I was just going to die.
Oh, no. Look at that hair. I had some good hair back then.
Oh, my goodness. You've never had problem growing hair.
Yeah, still an issue. No. Oh, Denali. Yeah, my mom still tells stories about that trip.
Oh.
Oh, that Grandpa and you can believe that I didn't cry the whole bus ride. It was a long bus ride.
I don't remember that part. I just remember how cold I got and I couldn't warm up.
There's Alyssa.
Oh, you fell out, you guys. I guess you didn't like to bend there.
That was a good photo. Oh, that's adorable.
Well, any of these you don't want, you can just wipe them out, can't you?
Yeah. No worries. I just, this is gonna be great for just. Oh, no. I thought that was someone with a cooler on their head. Oh yeah.
This was telling about going to Hershey, huh?
Mm-hmm. I don't remember that.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, there's parts of me. Yeah, that.
Oh boy, we could have all the chocolate we want.
Yeah. Oh, Royce and Larissa are so cute.
And then Larissa.
Uh-huh.
Little Larissa. She just said something about her coming. What was it? For some... At the end?
Yeah.
Hey! Nice memories.
Yeah. Oh. Well, is there any other story you'd like to cover real quick, or anything we should know, or any secrets you've been willing to get, or trying to get it, or I appreciate you just spending time and going through this. It's been great. Any little message you'd like to leave for any of your kids or grandkids? And then I think we're happy.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, I feel like I've had a terrific life. I'm thankful for the day that the Lord spoke to my heart and that I responded. That was at the Bakersfield Convention. And the brother worker that was speaking was at convention. His name was Hugh Matthews. And he spoke about you cannot serve God and mammon. You have to make a choice. Either you want one or the other. And then I didn't plan to stand up in that meeting, but something just pushed me up. I knew I had to make a choice. And I'm glad for that choice I made. I'll never be sorry. And even in old age, God speaks to my heart and feeds me on wonderful things that I can read in the Bible and things that I can see in His people that I just love. And I want to have more of that kind of a love in my own heart for God's people and His word that He left on record. And that's all I can say for my life.
Thank you, Grandma. That was beautiful.